At this time, the board will take comments from the public on non-agenda items. As you come to the microphone, please state your name and residence. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to speak. Also, there will be no yielding of time at this point. Please remember that this is a time for comments and it's not a Q&A period. I also ask that the audience refrain from applauding and cheering during the public comment. Thank you for your cooperation.
Hi, my name is Kathy Neary. I live in East Goshen. I am a senior citizen on a fixed income, and I'm here to ask you to raise my taxes. I'd like to see the previous cuts restored. I'm sorry.
Again, I asked to refrain from applauding and cheering during public comment. If you can't do that, we can cease the public comment.
I'd like to see the previous cuts restored, including any chemistry teaching positions. I'd also like to see an adequate reserve for a fair teacher's contract. I consider my school taxes an investment in a quality system which will be reflected in my property values. My second comment is about the Daily Times articles about the teachers' plans to stop working beyond the school day. I spoke at a board meeting about a year ago and urged a quick and fair contract settlement because I personally believe that the entire system collapses if teachers stop grading papers, doing lesson plans, answering parent concerns, and the other array of services that are provided after the end of the workday. I would share that I personally had the occasion this year to contact 3 different Fugit teachers via email with homework questions. And in all 3 cases, I got answers within a couple of hours, and that was just after dinner time. I think that we should be grateful for the teachers' efforts, and I feel very sad that they have been accused of using students as pawns. And if they decide to stop working for free, that would be their label. I don't understand it. Lawyers don't work for free. Plumbers don't work for free. Got a guy to look at my dishwasher the other day. Nothing was wrong with it. It cost me $135. He didn't work for free. Someone is confusing public employee with public servant. I see teachers that say, I love public education, and I thank God they do. Tonight's presentations were absolutely heartwarming. The students' performances and their accomplishments are wonderful, and the teachers' efforts are obviously seen in their work. If the teachers have to work to rule to get parents to appreciate their value, so be it. And I thank you.
Good evening, Tracy Gomez, West Goshen. I have the distinct privilege of not only teaching in the Westchester Area School District, but also to live here. I speak to you tonight as a concerned parent, taxpayer, as well as faculty member. Last week's events initiated by the board have only served to make a mockery of our district. We are becoming the laughingstock of Chester County and perceived by neighboring districts as a school district in distress. Your condemning and condescending remarks only crush morale and hurt the forward progress of our district as a whole. On one hand, you publish statements that speak to our high test scores, our teachers that routinely go above and beyond for our students. Yes, we do. We have exemplary test scores. Our graduating students go to the very best colleges, and we routinely put our students first. I have news for you. There is nothing routine about this. It is a conscious effort on all of our parts, to provide the best education possible for all of our students. And what do we get for our efforts? A board member, unbeknownst to our colleagues, that releases an email condemning the very teachers that, according to Mr. Murphy, go above and beyond to help all of our children. all we have received from the majority of the board in the past year is negativity. I would like to know, as resident of this district, what do you routinely do for our children? What have you, as a collective board, done to help the taxpayers of our community, and most importantly, the children? You have been voted in to serve the community and uphold the best interests of our constituents, which includes those very children. Have you lost sight of this? It is in the best interest of our entire district for you to start acting as responsible members of our community and uphold the job you accepted. The teachers have done so, even without a contract, yes, without a contract for the last year. Our test scores, the graduation rate, and the many families that would attest to the superior quality of education of their children that they have received day in and day out prove that we have upheld our end of the bargain. It is time for you to do the very same. First, show up to the negotiations, and secondly, bargain in good faith. Accusing the teachers of using the children as pawns couldn't be farther from the truth. In
Thank you.
fact, isn't
Thank
that
you
what
for-
you've just done?
I'll ask you to wrap up your comments now.
I am, just
Thank you.
one more minute. If you
No,
release
no.
inflammatory letters to the press in order to stir up the community and thinking the teachers aren't doing their job, yes, I am hurt and outraged that our leaders would think this. I am shocked as a taxpayer that our district has sunk to this level. Please don't continue this any longer. Talk the talk and walk the walk. Show up to the negotiations.
I'm going to ask you to wrap up your comment now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Let us do the
Ms.
exemplary
Thacker,
job we are accustomed to and want you to. Please step up and match our efforts.
Andrew White, Ardmore, Pennsylvania, but teacher. That's a middle school. And Ms. Gomez actually stole a lot of what I was going to say. I've written and prepared a whole lot since Thursday. You see, I've been frustrated, I've been angry, I've been disappointed, I felt hurt. But recently, I've been trying really hard to stay proud and maintain the sense of pride I felt when Mrs. Tiernan brought me into this district 7 years ago. And it's been really hard to do that. It hasn't been hard because of the students, it hasn't been hard because of my teachers that I work with, it hasn't been hard of anything. It's been hard because of this school board. But I've managed to stay proud of those students and those teachers. See, our district's successful, we can't deny that. We've seen it the first 45 minutes we're devoted to this. 2 reasons it's successful are because of dedicated students and dedicated, devoted teachers. No matter what's been said about us for the past 3 years, and even the last few days by this board, we've shown up day after day and done our jobs with dedication and devotion. No questions asked. With this dedication being matched by the wonderful kids in our district, of course we've been successful. That's what we should be proud of. But we haven't succeeded because of this board's leadership. We've succeeded in spite of this board's leadership. So I leave you with one question, and it's a question Ms. Gomez asked. What have you done to help the children of this district succeed? That's what it comes down to. It's not about taxes, it's not about millage rates, it's not about press releases and elected officials on our resumes. It's not about red shirts and teachers unions, even though I'm in on that. All right? It's about giving kids the best chance to succeed. So the next time you're skipping negotiating meetings and sending your expensive lawyer, the next time you're voting to cut a budget or issue a slanderous press release, what I'm going to ask you, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what is this doing to help the kids in our school district succeed?
Over the last week, as I read some very interesting statements that were released, I started to wonder, what does it mean to go above and beyond in our field of work? Does it mean to mentor students and give up our planning time and lunch time, to spend time with them, to simply talk and be a role model for them, to give them rides to activities outside of school they wouldn't normally have a ride to or be able to attend? Does it mean to be active members of our PTO, attend meetings during and after the workday? Does it mean to run the student council, to organize and participate in Girls on the Run, Stride, our school talent show? Does it mean to organize and work for the Science Explorers, the Ag Lab, have it provided for every school in our grade, as well as provide the gasoline for it and fill the tank ourselves? Does it mean to help families in need of both students and staff alike, to deliver food to them when they're not able to make their own meals? to donate money to help them get what they need to get by, to purchase holiday gifts for our families in need. That includes 2 sets of bunk beds for students who were previously sleeping on the floor, delivering them and assembling them for those families. Does it mean harvesting our school's vegetable garden and donating those vegetables to the Westchester Food Cupboard and the Salvation Army? Does it mean attending student games, recitals, plays, birthday parties, and other activities we're invited to? At Exton, that doesn't mean going above and beyond. At Exton, that means doing your job. And we respectfully request that you do yours and put children first, just like we do. And we certainly hope that at least one of you will attend the negotiation meeting on June 3rd. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Debbie Fell, I'm president of the Teachers Association. The members of the Westchester Area Education Association are intelligent, caring professionals who always have and will continue to fulfill their contractual responsibilities. Tonight, I present you signed petitions from the members demanding a fair and equitable contract. Teachers, nurses, psychologists, guidance counselors have been working at their 2010-11 pay rate with no recognition for the years of service and/or their level of education. We are asking for the respect we are due and that you come to the table and truly negotiate. To negotiate is to communicate in search of a mutual agreement. To date, all we have received are the board's edicts, your demands. This is not negotiating. A good start would be to remove all, yes, all, of the anti-union items on your extensive list of demands. We hope to see you at the table on June 3rd. Thank you.
Bob Marks, Westchester Area Education Association. First, in regards to the statement that's on the website, it says, it is time for the WCAEA to give the session, this regards the meeting, for negotiating meeting upcoming June 3rd. It's time for the WCAEA to give the session the attention it deserves by coming to the table ready to realistically reach a settlement. That, in my opinion, is a slap in the face to the teachers and the community, because we've been serious every time we've gone to a negotiation session. I think what it should say, because what was meant by it is that it's time for the WCAEA to give this session the attention we want, which is to give in to all the demands and accept an unfair contract. We need you to get serious and start negotiating instead of demanding. And please stop saying we use the children as pawns. Every time you say that, it's you using the children as pawns, as demonstrated by the many other teachers that have been up here speaking. We care about the children in this district. In regards to the letter that was put out last week, and it's been a sentiment that's been going, it's the anti-union sentiment, and this actually shows the need for unions, because everybody says we want a right to work state when really it becomes a right to fire state. Because as the statement as the article that was put out last week, somebody says something we don't like, somebody says something we don't like, or somebody does something we don't want them to do, then we're going to fire them. And obviously, the board really does not have any idea what's going on in this district, as someone asked for the firing of 2 excellent teachers in this district, just because they put something out or said something that other people weren't supposed to see. That to me is just ridiculous. And finally, the teachers in this district, they believe in hard work, loyalty, and pride, and they've shown that for the past 3 years. And every time you disrespect them with the rules that have been put in place and the backstabbing comments, it breeds discontent. The morale in this district is very low. And I really don't think that you see that, because you're not aware of what's going on in this district. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm not sure what is more ridiculous. Ms. Edseth's fiery, unwarranted attacks on teachers. Is this on anymore? or her misinformed and ignorant comments about how legislation is passed in Harrisburg, or Mr. Murphy's cunning attempts to trick the Westchester community into thinking that this school board and Ms. Adsett are not clearly aligned in their political agenda. After Ms. Adsett comically called for Harrisburg to enact laws that would fire teachers for working within the guidelines of their actual contract, Mr. Murphy sends a message directly to teachers and then to the community that Ms. Adsett is acting alone, yet then asks teachers to continue to work above and beyond their contract, which is what teachers do on a daily basis, operating under the impression that they have a school board that supports them and the students, which they don't. So if in fact they decide to only work within their contractual agreement at any point, they would still be acting as professionally and lawfully, and for you to suggest otherwise is intentionally deceitful. And how dare you, sir, send the impression to teachers in the community that you're negotiating a contract, when in fact the school board refuses to negotiate, even though the teachers have made a series of concessions over the last 2 years with the board not moving at all or even showing up at the table. You're clearly not serving the children of this community, but using your position to divide the community and attack teachers. Ms. Adsett suggests that she has overwhelming support from for her anti-union rhetoric. No, you need to look no further than last Tuesday's primary election results to see the overwhelming response from taxpayers, parents, and community members to the Tea Party politics of this board. In spite of the incumbents sending a mailer to Republicans taking credit for rising test scores in the school district, even though the students, teachers, and parents are the ones responsible for test scores going up, all the challenging candidates received more votes than Carpenter, Coyle, Pinley, and Latour, and revealed a bitterly divided Republican Party. The winds of change are coming. As always, Mrs. Tierney, you are exempt from my comments. Don't worry, Sue. Help is coming in the November election when the Westchester community shows how fed up they are with these self-serving Tea Party politicians and elects 4 new board members who will save this district from this reckless, destructive behavior. I'm Mark Yamara, 316 North New Street.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Diane Massar. I live at 117 East Biddle Street. I also seem to live in a world where my students are pawns, I'm a sheep, and my colleagues are thugs. And I can't stress enough to you how ridiculously untrue are those allegations. And I resent that people put them out into the universe as if they carry no consequence. That angers me. The other thing that angers me is that when messages are put forward, I don't know, maybe in the belief that in fact people do know what they're talking about and it's well-intentioned or it's outright untruth. I have been a member of the Westchester Area Education Association for 26 years. Good times, bad times. This is a bad time. The leadership of my union has never, capital letters, never, suggested, demanded, or tried to coerce me into abdicating my responsibilities as a teacher of the students of this district. We are teachers. We don't take that lightly. We take it really seriously. And knowing that it's the end of May and there are phrases that are going to waft across the neighborhoods this summer, we're not going to write letters of recommendation. We're not going to help students when students come to us for help. Nonsense. And every single time somebody puts a lie like that out into the world, a number of somebodies will rise and say that's not true. Thank you.
Steve Kernahan, Westchester, Pennsylvania. 2 weeks ago, I received a mailer regarding the school board primary in support of 3 current school board members. The reason I mention this is because on this mailer, the candidates campaigned on the fact that under their leadership, test scores have risen. I would argue that if rising test scores provide a strong enough platform to run for re-election, then it should be a strong enough platform to request a fair contract for the teachers actually responsible for rising test scores. Thank you.
The list.
Is that it? Are there any comments from board members?
I'd like to say what angers me. What angers me are the lies that come constantly said about this board. I have not heard anybody here say anything negative about the teachers or the profession. Okay. And when you're an elected official, you promise to uphold and defend the Constitution. The Constitution says we are to provide for thorough and efficient education. When two particular individuals, those are the ones I had issues with, said that one said that there would be a disruption of education if we did not resolve the contract soon. Disruption of education. That's neither thorough nor efficient education. And when another individual says that we will work to contract, and Ms. Feller herself said that work to contract is a disruption of education. Again, I'm here and I'm going to defend these kids and make sure they get a good education, and I will not tolerate anything that's going to disrupt their education.
Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Dr. Scanlon, if you wouldn't mind, I know that we probably should have had some of those comments on the budget prior to us actually voting on those agenda items. However, if you wouldn't mind describing some of the things that this board has been able to do because we've been responsible with our budget over the past 3 years, I'd really appreciate it if you could just highlight some of the top bullet items.
The budget that the board passed this evening, although it had no tax increase in that budget, it did increase the spending side of the budget by 3.5%. So we have been working very diligently the last several years. I know that involved board members, staff members, and our community, particularly with our budget task force, some sustainable reductions over the past 3 years to help put us in position so that we can in fact begin to add staff back into our budget and fund where we believe it's necessary for instruction for students.
Thank you very much.
I do have a comment regarding the negotiations and some of the questions about the board not being at the table. I really believe it's time to end this diversion. The simple truth is that there's a significant dollar gap that has to be addressed. The union leadership needs to focus on this gap, not who is in attendance at the meeting. That's largely irrelevant. The board has been able to settle 2 contracts with our bargaining units, with our negotiation team. We have complete confidence in our negotiation team. The school board has defined clear goals and empowered Mr. Sultanic with the parameters to guide the negotiations. During and after the sessions, Mr. Sultanic provides updates to the board, school board negotiating team, and furnishes the board with a comprehensive analysis of the session and key issues. Believe me, we are committed to balancing affordability and achievement and maintaining the quality of the education programs. Thank you.
I'll move to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.